let's talk about Gears Esports. It's interesting to me because I believe Gears Esports is one of the greatest esports in the world to watch. I felt that Escalation was one of the best, new game modes ever brought out to esports, and really just to a game in general. I thought when that was released in Gears of War 4, I was blown away. I was so excited to play Escalation. I kind of didn't, when you talk about, okay, we're trying to build a fan base around esports. We're trying to build a community here, people who can watch the game. When you have new viewers, Escalation and Execution, I think are incredible. I will say this though, even though I love Escalation, I believe it's one of the best game modes, new game modes that was ever added to a third-person shooter for esports or just competitive play. Execution's easier to follow. It's easy to understand. And it's always been a thought of mine with esports, even though I'm a massive esports fan, I always felt that the simple things are what really go so far. Think of CSGO. It hasn't changed, right? It's the same thing over and over again. It's like an S&D kind of style. Search and destroy. I always thought that Call of Duty should have just been search and destroy, like with all the different strategies you would see. I just thought that would be awesome. But obviously they've added, all kind of hard point. They've added all different types of different game modes into Call of Duty. And Gears of War has started to kind of do this as well. Not as much as maybe, Halo or Call of Duty, but I just felt that Execution just was something that made a lot of sense. It was very easy to understand. You get one life, it's like round by round, and, power weapons on the map. It's perfect in my mind. Escalation kind of took it to another level where it was a little bit more difficult to understand for a brand new viewer. Not like super complicated, obviously, like Overwatch or something, but it's still, I've always been wondering, how many people did we lose because Escalation was added into esports, into Gears Esports? I've wondered that. And so that being said, I'm not going to say that Escalation is even close, remotely responsible for the demise of Gears Esports. The demise of Gears Esports has been something that, in my mind, is a trickle-down effect of not what's going on right now in esports, because Gears Esports, by the way, the account for Gears Esports became dormant July 15th of 2022. So that, we're talking a while ago, guys. I mean, this is over a year ago that Gears Esports has been dormant. So let's talk about this for a moment. The last thing that Gears Esports said to all of us was, thanks for the memories. This account is now dormant. Stay connected for the latest news and updates through Gears of War on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Okay. That all aside, like I said, July 15th, 2022 is the last time that they tweeted. The account's been dormant since. Is it going to come back? I believe it will come back at some point or another. They were talking about deleting the Twitter account, which I thought was the most, the craziest thing I think I've ever heard in my life. It was completely asinine, asinine. You're going to go ahead and you're going to delete the Gears Esports or deactivate the Twitter account. I mean, it just didn't make a lot of sense to me because, what if you come back to it at some point? It's 145,000 followers on there. It just didn't make any sense to me. But that being said, Gears Esports needs to continue. Will it continue, though, with Gears 6, Gears of War 6, whatever the next title is? And I believe it will, but I will also say this about that. Even though I want it to continue, I think that it should not launch even remotely, close to when the game launches. I think that the game needs to launch, service the game, any bugs, glitches, things of that nature, crush it before it becomes an issue. Make sure the game is in a really stable place. start putting some tournaments out there, right? Some, ranked play, things of that nature. And as time goes, 6 months, a year goes by, you announce Gears Esports. You got to build it again from the ground up, in my opinion. The problem is that Gears Esports, it grew, and as it was growing, the teams were going, it started to, the economics behind it didn't make sense. Players were getting paid way too much money in terms of salary, and they weren't bringing enough to the table. It wasn't like they were bringing more, tons more eyeballs to the, to the screens for people to watch the Gears Esports. It was more the organizations, the orgs that were coming in that were bringing in views, right? The players, though, need to create their own, themselves as personalities. Now, definitely, guys, I'm not going to say that there's nobody in the Gears Esports scene that we're not growing in popularity, right? Explosive, one of like the winningest, Gears players of all time. Mental, all these guys that were on, Optic, which is what they were pretty much best known for, was when they were on Optic, they crushed it. And I mean, they were dominant in Gears of War, but the problem was that they're getting paid, you're getting paid, these big salaries, and then the esports not growing, right? And my mindset is that it's because, sure, the coalition's not updating things, right? But it's also that the players and then other people within the community aren't creating content. They're not bringing people back. They're not creating viewership, right? And so, like I had mentioned, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to continue bringing out Gears of War content, because, every number, every view, everything counts in this thing. It all matters when we talk about building a scene, when we're talking about building, or at this point, rebuilding a scene in the form of Gears of War. So with Gears Esports, I don't think that it can come out right when the game launches. It's got to be a little while, right? They can certainly have plans to bring it back, but and I know that there's going to be this talk of them wanting to strike while the iron's hot, and I totally get that. But if you don't build it from a foundational perspective, we're going to be right back into the same exact scenario. It could be even worse, though. You start having Microsoft and the coalition dump money into Gears Esports, and then let's just say it fails again because the coalition's taking on too much. They're focusing on Gears Esports. They're focusing on this and that and the other thing. This is a significant issue that I believe you need to take your time. Like, this is something where it's going to be a slow growth kind of thing to rebuild that trust and everything else for the Gears of War community. But I would love to hear your guys' thoughts about this in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think. Will Gears Esports continue into the future? What do you guys think? Let me know. Let's have a real conversation about it. And for more Gears Esports content and videos, stay here with zrotv.